Welcome to writingalong.com. Today's episode is all about how literary criticism kills writing. It kills writing when you think that's all there is to it, when you think just some book review you read online is the be-all, end-all. This isn't a critique of critics, it's more just a critique of a certain reaction or image that's often portrayed of what critical opinions are really saying about writing. It's an individual's reaction, and if their individual reaction is warranting their own reviews, their own kind of deeper understandings and reaction. Again, inherently, it's just a reaction. That's all it is. In different contexts and different scenarios, people react differently to writing, and that's what you got to see it as, just an individual. This literary criticism is it's almost like another form of, you can criticize it. Like you can, if you want, you can have your own opinions on it. It's inciting more responses. The very fact that something instills in people any kind of reaction at all is a statement unto itself. So you really just want to see if something is getting critical reviews, and it might be something to it. It might really be saying something that is speaking to people, even if it's just causing people to have certain realizations. Well, aren't people really just talking about things that caused these kinds of changes in their mind and their thought processes? Why do you feel an opinion about something? It's, say, a book you read, right? You liked it a lot, or you didn't like it. Why do you feel so strongly enough to talk about how much you didn't like it? What was it signifying? You don't have to get into the whole psychological element, but you do just kind of have to acknowledge what it means for yourself, what it can mean for others, if a lot of people are. I really don't think a book's worth, a book's merit, has anything at all to do with whatever this person, I don't care what their esteem is, what their title is. In this context, I mean, all the respect to them for whatever they've done or accomplished, but their opinion is it's not everything about a book. You might like a book that is just trashed. I mean, it's just railed on against by all these critiques. You might enjoy it. There's probably a television show you love, for example, that people really don't like it, but you're one of the people who like it. For the majority of people, they don't like it. But guess what? If you ask them about it, they'll have a response for you. And if they ask you about it, you'll have a response for it as well. Just be aware that criticisms, especially in the context of books, people generally know this for other stuff they like. Maybe you like the movie and other people don't. You'll have your reasons for liking it, but that's just the nature of movies, right? That's just the nature of films. Like, I get why you wouldn't like it. But books, it's almost like they're treated like this holy, sacred, like sacrament. Just because they're not as not accessible, they're just not as accessed. Like, people aren't really breaking that almost invisible, super thin line barrier of entry to reading books. So if you're not exposed to them as a whole, you may think that that's all it is. That's all books are. They're just defined by the critics. And you got to listen to what the critics say, and that's not true. I'm making this for myself because that's how I saw writing. That's how I saw books when I wanted to read. I was attracted to the idea of, like, what do these people have to say? What's so interesting about it? And I found I liked plenty of books that weren't really rated well. I picked the most unpopular books. Why? Just because, not for any deeper reason. I just, out of curiosity, let me compare it to the ones that are popular, like received in a sense. The ones that have this like proof behind them. And I just found it was much more fun to make my own opinions about books. And I think you'll find it for yourself too. I say literary criticism kills writing because, as a whole, if you are a writer and you are writing for critics, if you're writing for a critique, you're going to be trying to hit all these check marks. You're going to be trying to do all these things, these little tricks to get to this place, to get this review, to get this reception and this response by these individuals. But you don't really want to do that because you take the focus off yourself. You take the focus off your mind. And suddenly you're filtering it off something that's unstable, that you can't keep track of. You don't know where it's at. You don't know where, but you know where your mind is because it's always there. It's always close to you. That's the only closest thing you could come to consistency as far as a writer. Not what critics are going to say, but what you're going to say about it. What you're going to say about your own writing, about the stuff that you read, stuff that you like. Write what you like. Write in the style that you enjoy. Write in the way that gives you life, that invigorates you. And with that, you'll find that writing is just becomes a lot simpler. It just becomes something that there's less pressure. And that's where you want to be. That's where you want to stay. You want to live there. Because once you're there, you can convey your thoughts, communicate them, say what you want in the way you want, tell the story that you need to tell in the way you need to tell it. As a writer, literary criticism is just seen as something you're almost scared to attack, something you don't know. I mean, these people in these universities say this and that. This person has this much of a following. Like, can I disagree with them? Yes. Why not? Who's saying you can't? Remove that fear from yourself, or otherwise it's just going to kind of get in your way. Leave it alone. You don't have to attack it. I mean, people want to critique things. Cool. I mean, I have strong opinions about things. You might have them too. Some you might keep to yourself. Some you might like to say out loud. That's all it is. It's just saying it out loud. And there's critics of everything. There's food critics, right? And people like to read what they have to say, but that's it. They're readers of them. They're not readers of the actual works. I think it's much more fun and also necessary as a writer to create and allow yourself a degree of separation from external factors, from external voices, external thoughts, because writing is so internal. It's so inherent to you, yourself, your own personality, your own experiences, that I think writing is good if someone understands it, if people understand what it's saying, what's happening, the events that you're telling. And really, what does that mean? It means it's bringing to mind. It's clear. It's compounded. It's connected to the world, and people will be able to see that. They'll be sensitive to that. You'll be sensitive to that. As a writer, please keep that in mind. Don't obsess over any kind of criticism, such as whatever you might read in these fancy journals and these articles and stuff like that. Take them as they are, not just with a grain of salt. I mean, you can enjoy reading them too. If you're a writer and you've received some kind of critical feedback, take it as it is. It's not an attack on you. Again, it's just a reaction, which is pretty important. And give yourself some congratulations. If someone doesn't like something that you made, they went out of their way to say it. If they wrote a whole tirade on it, then even better. It says even more. So, but don't write for them. Write for yourself. Write for the mind, write for the life that you have, write for what you see and what you want to bring forth. The rest, the effect it has, the responses, that's not your problem. It's not your responsibility. Your writing will change too as you grow and as you produce more stuff. That's the thing. As you do more, it changes. It never stays the same. You're actually going to write some things that you're going to look back on and you're going to think, wow, I did that. But people are going to like them, which is exactly what I'm saying. People are going to still like the stuff that you just kind of disown it almost. And for yourself, your writing is going to change. You might find a spot you're like, oh, cool, this is where I like to be as a writer. You're not going to stay there because everything about you is changing. And your writing is just a reflection of that. And let it be. Don't let it be anything else than that. You can overcomplicate this very easily. And I don't want you to, because you'll get stuck and you will just waste time. I don't think you want to waste time as a writer when there's just too much to say in one lifetime. There's a point you get to where you feel like you'll never be able to write everything you want to write, which is just kind of the opposite. It's this high quality problem. It's like a reverse polarization of what you used to feel, of what you used to experience. When starting out as a writer, I don't know about you. Like, I really don't know for yourself, but I can take a pretty good guess. It's just a clear feeling I'm getting because I had the same feeling too. It was just this feeling of what am I supposed to write about? I'm going to run out of stuff to write about. Eventually, the tank is going to run dry. And what then? What next? And I'm just going to be desperately trying to get the approval of these reviews of what? I hope people don't like my writing. I hope some people don't like it. I hope it causes them to have some kind of response, because then if they're a writer too, they can write like, no, this is what I think writing should do. This is what I think powerful and effective writing is, and they'll do it too. And it's a lot of self-realizations, but you're never going to have self-realizations if you're focused on something other than yourself as far as a writer. again, when you focus on that stuff, you're able to be the best that you can be for your readers. And that's what it's all about, too. That's what it's all about. But I don't just say, just think about your readers all the time. It's not about you at all. If, as a writer, you are just this charity giver of words. You're just the Red Cross verbiage. You're just the Mother Teresa vocabulary and literary essence. Like you're not. You really. It's not just that. There's a little more to it. The inclusion of your audience, of your readers, it's a byproduct. It happens automatically. It happens nicely. It happens naturally. When you focus on the things that matter in writing and you ignore the things that don't, in this case, literary criticism, it really has no bearing to your writing. Don't write for it. Don't write for the critics. Don't think you have to abide by their rules and recommendations. It does not matter. Let them react to it. You're the writer. You're not the critic. Check out How to Write a Book in 30 Days. It's a 10-part guide at writingalong.com. It's available on my website completely free. And I'll see you in the next episode. I really appreciate you checking out this episode. I will see you around.